Alright, it's the video review for Robots in Disguise Warrior Class Sideswipe. You can see here he is. He's his little Lamborghini with the writing on it. And kind of sleek looking Lamborghini. I found this. I was out looking for Ultra Magnus tonight and didn't find Ultra Magnus, but I found Sideswipe and Jazz. So we'll be looking at them tonight. So yeah, here's Sideswipe. Now he's kind of a sleek car. I like the car design. The red paint on the doors and the sheet and the windshield hood area, since it's on clear plastic, it doesn't quite match the red of the plastic, and that throws it off. It's a little less obvious under certain lighting conditions. Like even on the video, it's not looking quite as off as it does under bright fluorescence. This almost looks kind of a purpley pinkish red on the sides, but it is a different shade. Like I said, under various lighting conditions, it's not as noticeable, but it is. It's not as it's not as off a shade as this writing here, but it is a little off. He does have a little trouble rolling due to his chest plate down here, and if you flip it up, it pushes the wheels out. So like, yeah, it is on just a friction hinge. You can pop it off if you want, and he rolls a little better that way. But the chest plate does interfere with his levelness. You can kind of see he's not flat with that chest piece folded up. Not the end of the world. I imagine most of the kids playing with this aren't going to care anyway, but it is a thing. He does have a sword. I haven't found any sort of internal sword storage here. I don't think it'll fit. Nah, it's blocked by a hinge up there. In the vehicle mode, there is a slot up here that you can you can see the ends of these aren't flat. They're kind of angled on each side, so it doesn't really. You can kind of rest the sword handle in here, and it holds okay. It won't like fall out, but it's not a super tight connection. But you can kind of, I guess you want it facing backward. You can kind of store the sword there on top of the vehicle mode. You can have it facing forward as well, I guess, if you want him to vehicle joust. But actually, that's a lot more solid than it was earlier. I don't know if I did something differently. But yeah, so there's not the sword is either on top or off to the side. It doesn't store the way that like Bumblebee's sword or Drift swords do, where they can kind of hide inside the vehicle mode. Now his transformation, it's actually got some really neat transformation bits going on. And it starts off, you want to kind of pull his, untap his arms here. And then the whole rear of the car, like this is the bottom of his feet up here. So you pull this up, and you got to split the leg here. How did I get this done? Yeah, so you kind of lift up the foot and rotate this whole panel. You got to rotate it around like this, and then bring the foot down to make his lower leg. So lift up the foot just to free that up, so it can rotate around. Move it however you have to get it around the lower leg there, and fold his foot up. And you can use that. His foot does, because of the way it angles, you can kind of get position it however you wish. But yeah, so there's his legs. His chest panel lifts up, and up here, bring the arms out. You want to unpeg them right there and bring them down. This whole assembly on his back comes down, just like that. And then now in vehicle mode, these peg all the way in. You can see there's a little peg here that pegs into a little tab back here, as well as there's a little tab here on the side of his arm that, again, in vehicle mode, tabs into a slot here inside. Now, the way this is supposed to work is when you bring it in robot mode and the shoulders sit a little further out, you can see there's a couple grooves here that fit onto these tabs, and then these pegs should peg into the chest plate here. And they do. You can get it all lined up, but because there's nothing really behind them to support them, they pop out very easily. If this locking mechanism worked, that would be great. It would hold his shoulders in place, and you can move them like this. They do tend to pop out frequently. We're not done yet, because you take these. This is the neat part. These car panels here rotate around the shoulder point to kind of fill in his torso, like that. And you can plug them in up here. And like I said, you can plug them in. They'll stay a little bit. But it doesn't take a whole lot of effort for these to come loose, and you've got loose shoulders. which is a shame because, like I said, there's a lot of neat stuff going on with his transformation, and it's just a shame that it doesn't really work that well. If there was just some way, like if this could sit lower, or if this could rotate and push in a little bit, if there was some way of just getting just even the slightest bit of pressure, if something pushed in and locked and helped hold these in place up against the front, there'd be no issue. And it's not a matter of this is plugged in all the way, this can't go any further, just based on the hinge. It just physically can't go any further than that. It should, like I said, you can get them to stay solid for a little bit, but they will eventually pop out, which is just a little bit, like I said, it's disappointing because there's some neat stuff going on. Anyway, you lower this down, and there he is. He's still got the windows on his arms, but that's kind of something that's prevalent among a lot of these Robots in Disguise figures. It doesn't excuse it, but it is part of the design aesthetic for this line, so I'll have to point it out. Now, he can hold his sword in his hand, the way you'd expect. All right, now he's weaponized. But there also is a slot here. There's a hole right there. You can kind of see right there. You can kind of see. You can see the notch right over here on this side of it. If you put it so the blade's facing this way, it kind of sits in that notch, and it does hold his sword across his back like that. So you can store a sword in robot mode, which is really cool. I wish there was some way to make that function as a storage slot in vehicle mode, but alas, it did not. Like I said, neat design. He looks like Sideswipe. I wish these folded in a little bit better, maybe down here, so you didn't have these panels sticking up. It does kind of give him a popped collar look. And again, if you had to sit in a way, when you lock this in, it brings it in too close. If you could bring this down, if you could lock it in here just a little bit, that kind of gives him more of a collar look, although it doesn't really help down here much. But those pieces kind of connect there and gives him a more coherent look to either side of his neck. But again, there's no way to peg the arms in there. So yeah, some neat idea choices. I like the way he looks. A couple of functionality improvements would I think turn him from an okay toy into a really good toy. He's not bad. He's, like I said, I still think Grimlock and Drift are my two favorites of the Warrior class so far. But he's a decent representation visually of the character. Like I said, there's just a couple of engineering flaws that would make him truly great. Or keep him from being truly great, I guess. But yeah, there it is. Robots in Disguise, Warrior Class, Sideswipe. Also, I just realized I didn't do any kind of articulation thing, although I kind of talked to it. He does have a ball-jointed neck. Again, it's a little limited based on how his head is sculpted. And honestly, as tight as it feels, like I'm not 100% sure that I'm not twisting that ball joint off. It doesn't look like it's twisting, actually, but it is a little tight on the ball joint. So he's got a little bit of range of up and down motion. He's got some side to side, but again, as tight as that feels, you can probably loosen it just by unscrewing that. But it does feel a little tight. I don't want to twist it too much. Not that I would anyway, because his vision kind of gets blocked by his collar here. But I do feel like I might be damaging that ball joint. It doesn't look like it. It looks pretty sturdy and tough up in there, but just, oh no, maybe I'm getting a stress mark. I don't know. But he's got the shoulder hinge here and forward. Again, you've got that issue with the peg sticking in there. Ball joint elbows, so you got a good range of motion there. No waist swivel due to his transformation. He does have universal hips, a thigh swivel, hinge knees, and he does have the tilt. He doesn't have an ankle tilt this way, but he does have a good range of motion, both forward and back, in his foot. So you can get him in some cool action poses with his feet. They can support a good range of leg positions. So yeah, give him a sword. So yeah, posability-wise, he's nice. It's just a matter of keeping those shoulders locked in. So yeah, there we go. There is Sideswipe.